I was 15 years old, in my last year of school. It was a Friday night, and my mum and dad went away for the weekend to stay in Cornwall, so I invited some friends over. My friend James came round first and stole a bottle of rum off his dad. We started drinking rum and coke and playing music. Later on, my other friends arrived, Ryan and Matt. Matt was new to the group. He recently moved schools. We continued drinking and having fun, and Matt said, "Hey guys, you ever done a Ouija board?" Me and some friends did one last summer, and it was crazy. We started talking to a woman called Margaret. She answered loads of questions, using the glass on the board. Eventually we stopped, and the glass tipped over by itself. We contacted the dead. We all looked at each other and thought, why not? Matt went into his rucksack and got out the Ouija board, like he was planning this before he came over. Matt was a cool guy, super athletic, and got all the girls, but he had this weird side to him. I couldn't put my finger on it. We turned down the lights, and Matt told us 3 simple rules. If we feel the spirit talking to us is malevolent, then flip the glass and say goodbye. If the spirit spells the word Zozo, flip the glass and say goodbye. And finally, if the spirit spells out every letter and starts to count down the numbers, flip the board and say goodbye. Me, Ryan, and James looked at each other and started to get goosebumps. At this stage, things got pretty serious. I didn't want to do the board, but I didn't want to speak up and come across as a wimp. Matt was doing all the talking. He asked, "Are we speaking to a spirit?" And all of a sudden, the glass moved to yes. "Are you male?" The glass moved to no. "What is your name?" M-A-R-G-A-R-E-T. I lifted my finger off the glass and said, "Matt, you're playing games with us. You're moving the glass by yourself." He said, "I swear I'm not. Look, you ask a question." I asked the Ouija board, "Did you die here?" The glass moved to no. I asked, "Did you die close to here?" The glass moved to yes. The next thing that happened scared the hell out of me. The glass started moving really quickly. It spelled out the word graveyard. There was a graveyard only 5-minute walk away from my house. Matt immediately flipped the glass and said, "Let's go." I said no, but James, Josh and Ryan really wanted to go. I had enough to drink at this stage, and I felt pretty rough. So I grabbed some water, locked the door, and left for the graveyard. It was freezing outside. I zipped up my coat and walked the pavement leading to the park, which eventually got to the graveyard. I said, "Ryan, what are we doing?" He said, "Relax, mate. It'll be fine." We arrived at the graveyard, and Matt pulled open the Ouija board. I said, "No, Matt, I'm not touching that board." Ryan, James and Matt huddled around the board. The moonlight peered through the trees. I started to walk around and heard laughing in the background. I said, "Guys, can we go?" "No, we just got here. Let's find out what Margaret wants." I could hear Matt in the background asking for her name. "It's not working," he said. I continued to walk around, and I looked at the church. The lights were off, and in the window was a silhouette of a man looking at me. I ran back to the guys. I said, "We really need to go. There's a man in the church." Ryan and James said, Okay, let's go." Matt kept his finger on the glass, and it started to move. It spelled out the words, Zozo. He flipped the board immediately. He threw the glass into the woods and stamped on the board violently. Burn it, Matt shouted. He got his lighter and started lighting the corner, but the ground was damp, so it couldn't burn. Ryan started to rip the board up. I looked at James, and he said, "Look, over there." I turned and I could see the figure of the man, the same figure I saw in the church. Instead, he wasn't in the church anymore, and he was standing 50 yards away from us. The man was wearing a long black trench coat, piercing eyes staring through us. Me and James looked at each other. We then shouted, "Matt, Ryan, we have to go. Look." They looked up and saw the figure of the man staring at us. Matt fainted. We grabbed him and dragged him out the graveyard. The further we moved, the closer the man got to us. He wasn't walking towards us though. He was floating. His body was still, arms by his sides. We got out the graveyard and headed to the park. Matt woke up. He was pale, shaking with terror, and shouted, "It's him. He's coming to get me." Ryan said, "Come on, let's go. Let's run." We sprinted through the park, the wind breezing through the trees. I could see the light of a lamppost in the distance. We sprinted to the lamppost. I looked back at the park. It was lit by the moonlight, and it was empty. We got home. Matt asked, "What happened?" We said, "You passed out in the graveyard." "No, I didn't." "You did, Matt. We had to carry you out." No. I looked up and I saw the man. You all ran off, and he ran towards me. I got up just before he got me. I chased towards you and caught you up at the park." Me, Ryan, and James looked at Matt and said, "This didn't happen, Matt. You passed out." We put a movie on. We all agreed that everyone would stay over my place. There was no way I was going to sleep in my house on my own. Matt said he felt sick. We thought it must have been the rum. He went to sleep in the spare room. Me, Ryan, and James couldn't sleep. We stayed up late. I said, "Did you see that man? I wasn't imagining it, was I?" "No," James said. "I was stood by you. There was definitely a man in the graveyard." I don't know what happened to Matt, but it's pretty creepy, right? All of a sudden, we started to drift off to sleep. My lounge was quite big, and we all had a sofa each. As soon as we started to drift off, we were woken to a sudden sound. We all jumped off our sofas. Matt shouting from upstairs, "It's him. He's back." I walked to my front door, opened the door slowly, just enough so I could look through with one eye. There was no one there. I closed the door. Matt came downstairs and said, "I had a dream. Well, more of a nightmare. The man we saw in the graveyard, he was in my dream, but I was him, walking to your house and knocking on your door." I hope you've enjoyed today's horror story, and if you did, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you would like your story shared, please write to me at mrfearyoutube@outlook.com.